However, we do need to ask our city attorney when she's ready, to report out on our closed session, which started at 5:30.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session regarding labor negotiations, and council received input from staff, and direction was given to staff. And I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much. As we begin, we'll start with our roll call, and then we will move into the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Spencer Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take roll. Council Member Spencer Wong.
Present.
Council Member Popescu.
Here.
Council Member Rigsby.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Daly.
Present.
Mayor Duper.
Yes,
We have a quorum.
thank you very much. Councilmember?
Do we stand? Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, shall we bow our heads? Our Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today, for each and every one that have showed up here. Bless each and all of us and protect each one of us as we go our separate ways. Also give us wisdom to know the decisions that we need to make to better our city and the families and everyone we serve here. And in your name we pray, amen.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, are there any items to be added or deleted?
No, sir.
Moving on to public participation. This is a chance for anyone in the public to speak on any non-agendized items. And Madam Clerk, do we have any?
Yes, we have 3 speakers.
Okay.
I have Brian Moore.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Brian Moore. I live here in Loma Linda. Thank you for listening and hearing me tonight. I've lived here for many years and truly believe Loma Linda is a special place. Other residents and I would kindly ask that the council become more engaged with our community. We would love for the council to advocate for our concerns, actively involve residents, and share information about ongoing projects so that we can all stay informed and engaged, making Loma Linda an even more vibrant city. Effective communication is crucial as many residents struggle to reach their council person. This needs to stop immediately. I'm here tonight to advocate for the community garden in Loma Linda. Thank you for recognizing Amy Jones later tonight. Her dedication benefits everybody. I encourage the council members to connect with Amy to fully understand the vision of our community garden, which is essential for our blue zone status and aligns perfectly with the city's mission. Excuse me. We find it disheartening that we've contacted each city council member individually without receiving a response. This is our first formal request for council participation in 6 years. The garden holds great importance for our community. We hope to go beyond merely recognizing Ms. Jones and seek a commitment tonight. I propose that the council plan a community engagement service day at the garden. This would cultivate connections with residents, strengthen our community, and provide a valuable free activity. I have 2 questions for each one of you members. Will you commit to organizing a community engagement day tonight? The second question is, can you provide us with a proper contact to communicate and start this event? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Evelyn Collins.
Good evening. Dear members of the City Council, my name is Evelyn Collins, and as a longtime resident of Loma Linda, I have actively engaged with our local government by canvassing for the council elections and gathering signatures for the penny tax. I also encourage my neighbors to participate in our community and contribute to local causes. Effective communication is essential for fostering a healthy relationship between the council and our community. Yet many residents, including myself, have found our inquiries often go unanswered. I personally have contacted each council member 3 times regarding a proposal for a community engagement day, twice via email and once with hard copies. Yet I have received no response over a month later. This lack of communication fosters a sense of disconnection amongst residents, making us feel that our voices are unheard. Public input is vital for a flourishing city. And instead of feeling valued, we often feel frustrated and ignored. I urge the council to establish a clear communication protocol that guarantees residents receive prompt replies. Transparency and accessibility are key to rebuilding trust within our community. I urge the council to develop strategies for timely and effective communication with residents. Alternatives to emails such as town hall meetings, meet and greets, and online drop-in office hours could be beneficial. At the very least, a simple acknowledgement of emails, including a time frame for a response, would demonstrate that our input is valued. I hope the council will take these concerns seriously and prioritize improved communication moving forward. Our community deserves to be heard. My 2 questions: will you share how long it typically takes you to respond to written communication from your constituents? And will you commit to addressing these concerns and improving communication before the next council meeting? Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you very much. Kehlani Collins?
Hi, my name is Kehlani Collins, and Miss Evelyn Collins is my grandmother. I often am associated with the garden. I feel that a council engagement day would help with overall the youth of our community and city. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. You can give her applause. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to our scheduled items. We're going to start with item 2A, which is kind of an internal recognition of 2 of our Public Works employees, Edward Aguilar and Carlos Flores. Are you guys here in the audience? Oh, yeah. Jarb says you have to come down. So I want to read an email that we got last month, and this was from a resident. Sent me an email and he said, "Hey, I lost my phone this morning. It fell out of my pocket as I was on my motorcycle on my way to work. Not a fun feeling. I went to the hospital and got my work iPad, and I saw that my phone was still in the neighborhood. But by the time I got back over to the area of Bryn Mawr, 2 gentlemen were landscaping in a city truck, and they waved me down. And they said they had dropped my phone off at my house. They were working in the area and saw it fall out of my pocket as I turned the corner. And of course, the phone was there when he got home. He said, "I'm really grateful for these gentlemen, their honesty and upright nature, great hires, great values representing our city. We wanted to thank you and the appropriate management for these guys, and please pass it on that I appreciate it." So we have a couple of certificates for each of you. If you guys would come up. And you guys work in the sewer and storm drain department, correct? All right. Okay. Who's who? I don't know why anybody wants to take a picture of this. everybody. Come on up here. Did your families come out with you guys tonight? No. Ed's did? Where's your family? Where's your family? Are they here? Thank you. Thank you for sharing him with us. Okay, we're going to move on to another proclamation. And this is a recognition for Miss Amy Jones and her work in the community garden. Yeah, you can come on now. This is a long one. We're going to be here a little bit. There's a lot of stuff to say. Okay. And thank you to our recently retired council member, Bob Jindal, for writing this, most of this, and giving it to us. So whereas the City of Loma Linda Community Garden restarted in 2018 and has grown beyond its original goal, this expansion, which now includes serving over 200 student volunteer visits yearly, regular produce donations to food pantries, and creating floral arrangements for residents at local nursing homes, is a testament to the community's dedication. The garden also offers free food preservation classes, such as pickling, kombucha, and jam making for the community members. And whereas the garden is a local example of creating a regenerative garden, which supports food production without pesticides or synthetic chemicals and minimal water usage. And whereas in 2020, with the help of the city firefighters, the city, countless volunteer hours, and infinite numbers in fundraising, the community helped install over 60 fruit trees, berry patches, a cutting flower area, a tropical zone, a California native section, and more. Whereas the garden, by serving members and volunteers experiencing food insecurity with nutritious food, is a living embodiment of the city's mission, a city focused on health and prosperity. It enables a healthier lifestyle and a stronger community bond. And whereas the garden's impact is not limited to its members, it ripples out to enhance the lives of the entire community. It is a testament to the power of collective action and shared values. Whereas our dedicated city volunteer, Miss Amy Jones, take a bow, manages the garden. Her garden inspiration is her childhood memories of spending time with the people she loved, mostly her grandparents, in the garden. And whereas Amy works at the Loma Linda University School of Medicine as a project coordinator of philanthropic stewardship and pathways programs, this week as she is graduating with her master's degree from Claremont Graduate University in higher education, educational justice, and whereas before working at the School of Medicine, she worked in student affairs at the dental school. She received the American Student Dental Association Advocate Award for her commitment to student success. You got Ron's perked up now. And whereas, as a former volleyball coach, wow, is there anything you don't do? I told you guys this was going to take a little bit. As a former volleyball coach, youth sports program director, and club director, Amy created programming to increase access and affordability for hundreds of children ages 5 to 18 years old across the Inland Empire. Now, therefore, we, as a city council and citizens of Loma Linda, do honor Amy Jones for her unwavering commitment and volunteer work over the past 6 years that has not gone unnoticed. The city proudly honors her for her significant contributions to the community. Thank you for putting up with me as I read through all that. Come on up.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And then last one for the good of the order. 3, 1, 2, 3. Hey, how are you?
Get that information. I didn't know they get the.
Thank you again, Amy. Congratulations on your graduation. All right, moving on to our third award for the evening. Now, this one is a little bit of a surprise because we thought he was going to be working up at the line fire. So, Nate. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want to come up? No. If everybody else has to, you got to come up too. I like to give Nate a hard time. I'll have to tell you guys some fire stories. Listen, so we actually weren't certain Nate was going to be able to attend tonight because it looked like he was going to be heading up to the line fire or one of the other big fires, but we're lucky enough to have him. And so we don't have your certificate here right now. And part of that is it's really big. It's going to take up a whole wall in your office. And it's got your picture emboldened in the background. So the one where you're smiling, you had that missing tooth that one time, remember? Oh, I'm sorry. But I wanted to read you guys a letter, and this came from the Mission Elementary School, our principal there, Minerva Castorena, and I don't know if Minerva is in the audience. Hey, how are you doing? And this letter actually was a couple of months ago, and we've been trying to make this happen. And it's been hit and miss, but I would like to read this letter so everybody can hear it. This was addressed to a few different groups, including the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for giving us some time to mention our favorite Loma Linda firefighter, Chief Boucher. I'm writing to commend Fire Battalion Chief Boucher for his outstanding mentorship of our fifth graders in the Fireman Leadership Academy at Mission Elementary School. Chief Boucher's dedication to these students is a shining example of the kind of community spirit that makes Loma Linda a great city. Our school is in dire need of male mentors to support some of our male students who show great potential but have not always been able to realize their potential. Ms. Gonzalez, the school counselor, and I asked for help within the community, and Chief Boucher rose to the occasion. We were hoping for a consistent, positive male role model with these boys, but Chief Boucher delivered a whole lot on a different level. As a mentor, Chief Boucher provides these students with the support and guidance they need to succeed. He helped them develop their academic skills, social, emotional well-being, and career aspirations. He also exposed them to new experiences and opportunities they might not otherwise have. They worked on responsibility, trust, respect, kindness, chivalry, humility, and dedication. I am particularly impressed by his ability to connect with these students on a personal level. He took the time to get to know each student individually and build strong relationships with them, creating a positive impact and memories on their lives in ways that go beyond the school environment. Chief Boucher's mentorship has led to significant academic progress among the students. They have become more confident, motivated, and engaged in their schoolwork, with every single one of the boys showing improvement. This progress is a testament to Chief Boucher's dedication and the potential for positive change in our community. On behalf of the students, the staff, and parents of Mission Elementary, I want to commend him for his outstanding service as a mentor, leader, and community member. He made a real difference in the lives of these students, and we are grateful for his dedication and commitment. We at Mission have grown to love him as part of our family. Can we give them all a round of applause, please? In all seriousness, you guys, this man is very humble. But some of these projects and things that he has been able to take on, especially in the school environment. Let me get out of the way.
We're gonna take a picture with all of us. Oh, you don't want it. Okay.
All right, as much as I appreciate all the recognition, you guys make me sound like much better of a person than I really am. None of this program would have been even remotely possible without Mission Elementary and these gentlemen behind. Stand up for me. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. They do all the heavy lifting. I just had an idea. That's it. But thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, seriously, and all of you guys for putting in the work that you have, not just once, but many times, and doing what you guys do. It is really phenomenal. So that's what I say all the time. I talk to people around the county, and I get to brag about all of our workforce, but in particular, I'm very impressed with what our fire department does here in town. And there's a lot of things that go unnoticed. For example, they'll often bring flowers to some of the older ladies at the retirement homes, like on Mother's Day or things like that. And those are things that they're not asked to do, they just do on their own. And we are super, super lucky to have an organization that is so engaged with our community here. So thank you very, very much, you guys. Okay, moving on to 2D, a presentation by San Bernardino County College District and Chancellor Diana Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council, and hard acts to follow. So to everyone who was recognized tonight, congratulations. Although I'm not our chancellor, I would love to be someday in my future life as I continue to grow up as an adult. My name is Inez Canella. I support the chancellor with the government relations and community relations for the district. You probably have heard of Crafton Hills College. I'm sure many of the firefighters here know someone who's went through that program on our campus. And of course, San Bernardino Valley College. But just a quick show of hands, how many of you are alum or students or know someone who went to either of those campuses? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. We're all family here, so thank you for having us here. So we want to just talk about impact, what we've been doing within our district. We've had a tour of all of our service cities over the last year, so of course Loma Linda is one of our stops. But we just want to share some updates with you, and our next slide is going to show. Before I do some of those highlights, I just want you to point your attention to the screen so you can learn a little bit about who we are.
Here in the largest county in the United States, big dreams find a home. SBCCD. What do these letters spell? Opportunity. We're home to Crafton Hills College, San Bernardino Valley College, and our very own PBS and NPR public media station, KVCR. This is where our community learns something new every day. Affordable tuition, uncompromised quality, over 20,000 bright students. Every year, 2,000 of them graduate to do big things. We're more than higher education. We're an economic engine. In total, we boost our local economy by $720 million every year, building things, supporting local jobs, and helping businesses grow. We also team up with our local schools so young students get a taste of college early on. Our students learn by doing. They clock in over 40,000 hours of community service a year, helping make our neighborhoods even better. And for anyone looking for new career skills or a second chance, our Economic Development and Corporate Training Center is here, welcoming everyone and ready to lend a hand. To every neighbor, every taxpayer, know that every dollar, every effort is an investment in our shared future. At SBCCD, every day is about creating opportunities right here at home.
Thank you so much. RIT guy in the back, thank you so much. I just love the video. It really highlights the story of the almost 100 years that we have here in the community. So next slide, we just want to show you who's behind our vision for the district. Although not here, we just want to recognize who they are. Our chair, Dr. Stephanie Houston. I'm sure some of you folks know these individuals. Our vice chair, Dr. Nathan Gonzalez. Our clerk, Joseph Williams. Our newest trustee, Dr. Sharina Betters. Trustee John Longville, who's a staple in the Inland Empire. Trustee Frank Reyes, our student trustee from Crafton Hills College, Hadi Natur, and our student trustee from San Bernardino Valley College, Nelva Ruiz Martinez. Our presidents of the institutions, you all probably know Dr. Kevin Haran of Crafton Hills College, the newest member to our district, just 2 months in, our San Bernardino Valley College president, Dr. Gilbert Contreras. So wanted to show you who they are. Now, who do we serve in the next slide? You'll see a map of our district. We service you saw in the video, about 23,000 students at our campuses. Within about 22 cities and communities within the geographical service area that you see there, through about 7 feeder districts of K through 12 partners in our area. And we also reach about 4 million plus through the KVCR and our radio station. We like to think that the 4 million plus of those individuals in some way are our students, because we hope that they will learn things from KVCR. But we're proud of the team there and what they're able to do within our communities. We talked about in our next slide, affordable higher education and career training. Very important, just to show the value of education that we offer at our institutions. We're committed to keeping the cost of tuitions low so that people can afford to go to school or get a career technical program. So if you take a look at the chart, I'm not going to go over all the numbers, but really, to be a full-time student at a community college, earn your degree, you're looking at about just under $1,200 a year. So super affordable. Whereas sometimes UCs, I did go to UC. If I did it all over again, I would have went to community college first. But you're looking at about $14,000, not to mention our private, not-for-profit institutions, about $45,000 a year. So I hope that you can see from the chart the value that going to a community college is, specifically Valley College and Crafton Hills College for our students and their families. Our next slide, we talked about community service. We are a part of the College Core program. Students there earn a weekly paycheck for the volunteer time. At the end of the year, these students, if they meet all of their recommended hours, receive $10,000 by the end of their term. So this amazing program gives the students opportunity to build resumes, learn the importance of giving back to the community, receiving dollars that they can pay for childcare, support their household, whatever it is. We're very proud of this program. So if you run across nonprofits or even yourself as a city, any of your departments are looking for support, please send them our way. We're happy to get you involved. Before I go into this next video, you all know we do offer career technical training. So we're growing those programs. So this next video highlights 2 amazing buildings that are going to provide more opportunities for our students. And you'll see that here in this video. Thanks again. Those for me are very exciting because the first building you saw will be completed at the end of this year. So we look forward to inviting you to that ribbon cutting. We just did a walkthrough yesterday with our state chancellor, Sonia Christian, and the Board of Governors. I've seen it from nothing to now with drywall, so I was blown away, but it's going to be a very exciting building for us. So again, talking about our economy, through our bond program, we've been able to support our local workers with wages of about $7.9 million. What you don't see here is that over $100 million have been contracted to our local businesses here. It's very important to our board and our administration that we make sure to support the folks that live and work here in our community. So we're really proud of these numbers. And we still have some years in the program, so of course this will just continue to grow. Lastly, we talked about KVCR, so I wanted to share what's happening there, the home of PBS and NPR. The KVCR radio and television station is housed at Valley College campus. We're the only community college in California that houses a PBS NPR station. Again, it serves about 4 million folks through its reach, and it's also the home of the First Nations Experience, FNX, the only Native American and World Indigenous channel in the United States. So I welcome you all to join us anytime for a tour, to come on the radio or television to talk about things that are important here in Loma Linda, because it certainly is important to the district, so you're welcome to join us anytime. And just, wrapping up, I just want to thank you again for allowing our district to come and share what we're up to. Again, come and tour either any of our campuses, our PBS, NPR station, and just really thank you for you all and the leadership you do. And to the community here, thank you for being active in your community, because it's so important that we're here and involved. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a good rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, on to probably the least fun part of our evening. Will be a public hearing, Council Bill R 2024-32, and that's the refuse rate collection and disposal rates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A little background is the city do have a franchise agreement with CR&R for the refuse collection, the trash pickup, and then the waste disposal contract. And as part of the agreement, we allow them to do an annual rate adjustment based on the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, and to be effective every July. And as part of Prop 218, the city have to mail out the notices to approximately 5,200 residents and the owner of the property. And the deadline is for them to submit the notice to us, written protest letter to us. And as of September 4th, we received 10 letters of protest. So the CPI increase for this fiscal year is 2.9%. And we also have a contract with the county waste disposal agreement, which their rate is increased by 2.4%. So the increase for the residential rate will be approximately $1.28 per month. So as part of the agreement, the city staff is recommending the city council approve the council bill number R 2024-32, establishing the maximum refuse rate collection and disposal rate effective July 1st, 2024. That's in my report.
Mr. Mayor, may I just add that we received 4 more letters, so we received a total of 14 letters of appeal.
14?
14.
What did you say originally?
10, as of the 4th.
I thought you said 4 out of the, as of.
No, I said September 4th. Yeah, we received 10. So now it's 14.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing and invite anyone who wishes to speak on the matter to come forward. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open up to the council for questions.
I asked the city clerk, is there any commonality to the issues that have been raised outside of the fact that the fees increasing? Any issues related to the quality of service or that kind of stuff?
No, and I attached some of the letters with the staff report, but mainly just that many of the residents didn't want the increase in their fees because of just in everything going on, inflation and so forth,
Right,
and some
right.
are on tight budgets. But some did say that they weren't even producing that much trash and recyclables where they didn't need to have their services done every single week. I saw a couple of letters on that. But as far as service, I don't recall seeing anything where they were unhappy with the service.
I can relate to that. I mean, we don't have any kids in our house any longer, and we don't produce nearly the trash that we used to, but it is what it is. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'll move the item.
Okay.
I have some questions and
Yes, sir.
comments. I'll second, but I was not able to read the full staff report that goes into detail as to the actual increase. I don't know if I'm the only one having that issue. I mean, all I saw was the beginning of the ordinance, the resolution, but not the rest. Am I having a hard time?
Do you have that Exhibit A, which gives the rates, or is it something
No.
else? Oh, yeah. Well, I can see that on mine, but maybe it didn't come through.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so I see that you just, okay, now I see them. One of the letters talked about a $30 a month increase. Obviously, we all know that's not the case. Why would someone reach that conclusion? Because that's significant. So I'm just curious, where's the miscommunication?
I think it's a business thing, yeah.
No, it said that a typical residential household will pay $29.88 per month. But the increase from the existing is only $1.28.
Sonia?
I looked at that letter and I tried to work out the numbers. The only thing I can think of is that they looked at the bi-monthly bill. The increase for that times 12 would be about $30.52.
A year.
A year.
I see.
But
And
it would be six.
I see, okay.
6 months, yeah.
Okay.
Or 6 times.
And I know that we have a mandated cost of living increase, or I guess I don't know if it's the right term for it, inflation rate increase. What exactly is that rate in the contract? Is it whatever it's posted, or is it a specific number?
Yes, it's posted at the U.S. Department of Labor and Bureau of Labor statistic.
Okay, so if that's 3.5, then ours is 3.5, depending on what that is.
Correct.
Okay. And I know I had this conversation with you before, but if we chose not to pass the increase to the residents, we would be mandated to do so, but it would come out of our regular city budget, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And therefore, we do have the option, if we choose to pass the increase, but maybe not pass all of it to the residents. In other words, split the baby.
Again, that's your choice, is the city council, but again, the staff not recommend that, because as you asked me, the total cost would be
about
$170,000.
Yeah. And I also saw that if it was just the residents, it would probably be about half of that. So we're looking at maybe $80,000 to $70,000.
It's accumulated. It's going up every year.
Yeah.
And as you just approved a budget earlier this fiscal year, we are at deficit. So I don't think we can afford to do that.
I understand. Now, maybe you can guide me, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the staff report indicate what the other rates are for other cities? Or it's not in the staff report, so I wouldn't be able to see that?
No.
Okay. I would have liked to have seen that just so I can compare what our rates are. Not that we can do anything about it, but it would be helpful to do a little bit of comparison.
Okay.
What's our contract term? Where are we at?
It looks like they're 2028.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
And I just from going over the, we did an RFP, right?
Oh,
when we originally did this.
Yes,
and
yes.
CR&R was by far the lowest.
Yes.
Well, I keep hearing those statements, but I'd like to see some data that I can verify.
Give them a copy of the RFP.
It would have been nice. And, well, to me, the RFP doesn't help me because I want to see what the rates are today, not what the RFP was 4 years ago or whenever we issued it. So not that it would change what we're doing here, but it would have been helpful for us to help kind of assess really where we are compared to other cities.
Okay.
I happen to know quite a few council members in lots of cities, and I've talked to them about this, and I'm hearing comments that, yeah, you guys are low, but we're also quite low as well. So it'd be nice to actually have some data, you know.
What I can do is I can ask CR&R to do a little phone call. So I can do it, no problems. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, we have a first and a second. Madam Clerk.
Motion is to adopt Council Bill R-2024-32, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Loma Linda, California, establishing maximum refuse collection and disposal rates effective October 1st, 2024, and repealing Resolution Number 3184. I will take your vote, please. Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Unless someone would like to pull something off of that for specific reason, we'll take a motion to approve the entire as a one item.
I'll move it.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Madam Clerk.
Motion is to approve the consent calendar as submitted. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nothing under old business, but we do have a couple of items under new business. 5A, consider taking action to establish a revenue generating committee, including the number of members, appointments, and terms. Also, we'll discuss the mission and purpose, duties, and goals. And this is brought forward by Councilmember Spencer Wong.
Thank you. In light of the budget deficit that we've had this current year, I thought it's prudent to begin taking action, and we develop and appoint a revenue generating committee. The committee, before I get into the details, I wanted to just share with you Loma Linda University. I'm a professor over there, and we're also facing financial difficulties. And so a number of us faculty are also on committees over there with discussions and support in building turnaround plans. So how to help the university to develop strategies, to generate income, increase students, marketing, all of that. So I've also heard from other cities that they're interested in supporting us in developing a revenue generating committee, as well as have met with Andrea from the Chamber of Commerce here in Loma Linda. And so there is a definite interest in seeing us to develop something like this to support what we have. Especially in light of the budget deficit. We have to start taking action. So I'm hoping that together we can come up with and support a plan like this. The idea that I've already begun developing is a 9-person committee made with, and we'll see the number of people depending on the interest from the different areas, from city, community, to university. From the city, we're thinking 2 to 3 members. From the community, and also key industry stakeholders that have experience and a track record doing this. So we're thinking 3 to 5 members from that, as well as 2 to 3 members from the university, for a total of a 9-member committee to begin meeting, probably I anticipate for the duration of a year, to develop a turnaround plan. So a 90-day, what's a 90-day revenue generating plan?
90-day, 1 year, 3 year, and a 5-year plan for us. Essentially, it would really cost us no money to have such a committee to give input and give us strategies and come back and present. The goals of the committee is to find ways, right? Think of ways of how the city can begin generating revenue, whether, from all different angles, not just from if we need a tax or not, but from all the angles, and also using our unique identity. How do we embed that in our city to help us generate revenue as well? I'm thinking the term may be 1 year. At the end of that, we can decide if we need them to continue, but just a 1-year term. And then ideally, we'll see if they'll kill me, but I would like to meet bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks, have a meeting so that at least we get the 90-day report in and we have something to move on. So that's kind of, I think there's a document also associated with this that can be read, but that's kind of the goal of developing a revenue generating committee. So any questions or input?
What is the process that's proposed for identifying who's going to be on the committee?
So the process would be looking at their background. So me and probably 2 other, like working with the Chamber of Commerce and maybe another potentially JARB or another here council member, identifying the people. But also working with a number of cities around to help identify who would be a good member on the committee. The university, I'd probably represent the university along with other faculty or another administrator that has experience doing something like this. So with your input, we would develop the committee.
We?
City council together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My only concern, I think it's a good idea. My only concern is committees of 9 people.
It's big.
I've had struggles with many years. So that would be my only caution.
It's too big. But I think
outside of that, I think it's a good idea. The other thing that I would recommend is we just went through budgetary challenges where we were talking about a potential 1% tax increase on sales in the city of Loma Linda. And I will say Councilman Popescu was quite passionate about many opportunities he's aware of to increase businesses in the city of Loma Linda. He knows more than I do about it. So I would just suggest his name as somebody that should be considered because I think it's something he's already expressed a passion for.
Well, not to burst your bubble, but
No, don't burst my bubble now.
I am not in favor of this committee. So before I even get volunteered, and I know this is a time to discuss it, so I'll give you my 2 cents. It'll be short. Look, I have a serious reservation with the premise. There's a statement here: a looming threat to the city's economic health is a lack of vision and sufficient planning and complacency. I'm sorry, but Dusty's been here for 18 years. This city is the best run city in this county. Maybe Rancho comes in ahead of us, but our staff and our manager has done an amazing job. We have given everybody great benefits, great pay. We've increased our reserves. We're not in this economic upheaval that everybody's talking about. Yes, we are going to have challenges ahead. Yes, we can improve services. There's no doubt about that. I spent a lot of time talking to residents, and nobody complained to me about, man, I need more services. You guys are not doing enough. I need more services. My concern with this committee is that given the items that it's charged with, it's basically what we as a city council are supposed to be doing. I just feel like we're just adding to the bureaucracy by adding more committees. I think a lot of these things are being done by the budget committee. I think a lot of these things are being done by staff. I think when we bring an economic development director on board, which we're in the process of hiring, I think that person can do many of these tasks. I don't think we need a committee for that. So having said that, I would not be in favor of this. Thank you.
Do you dispute anything that I just said? You were passionate about there are many, many businesses that want to move in to the Loma Linda area.
I said there's
and that-
opportunities. I'm not saying there's businesses. It's going to require, like I said before, a plan, someone who's involved.
You
on
voted
100%.
against a 1% tax because you said there's many other ways to evolve and develop our
Absolutely.
economic strength.
Yes, and I still stand
So
by
you
that.
need to be on that committee.
I'm on the city council. I'm doing my part. I had an hour conversation today with a company that gave us data. I'll share it with you as soon as I get it.
Which
talking
is
about
exactly
opportunity.
why you should be on the committee.
I'm on the city council. I don't need to be on another committee. That's our task as a council is to provide direction to staff and ensure that that's done. Part of
Sure,
that is
but
running
it is
ballots.
not to micromanage economic development within the city.
And I'm not saying we're doing that. I'm trying to say that we're not going to do it by committee. We give direction to staff. I think we as a city have a pretty good vision of what we're trying to achieve, and we're on that path. Can we improve? Absolutely. People do have complaints about services. There's no doubt about that. But also there's opportunities. I think we can generate more revenue. Then we're going to have a debate among all of us when that happens, how that money gets spent. That's all part of our task to determine inefficiencies and many of the stuff that are described in here. So I don't have an
This
issue
is
with
not a
doing the
committee
role.
that would have authority. It would report back to the city council. So there you go.
There's no harm, there's no loss. It's not even costing anything. It's just coming with ideas and strategy and allowing the community to have input and using the talent that we have here in the city. And when there's not really, it's kind of a no-brainer because there's not really a dollar sign attached to it. Not like an economic developer. That's a bigger dollar sign attached to it. And so when there's, not really a harm, there's no risk, why not take a chance? And it's all of us going to be working together that we try to do something like this and see. And an economic developer, it's not one or the other. It could be both together, even collaboratively. And who's not to say we don't come out even better, right? Why not take a chance?
I'm on board. I stand by my recommendation.
Who do you propose will be the staff support for this committee? And how much staff support will it be? For example, if the committee says, we'd really like to see a comparison of...
We're not doing comparisons.
I mean, no, but who, because a committee that's fully empowered is going to request things of staff. So what's the proposal for that?
So we're thinking maybe 2 members, and yet to be decided, but one who'd already mentioned either 2 to 3 members. One who'd already said was Andrea she couldn't be here tonight, but she's really excited to join, was quick to want to be a part, representing the Chamber of Commerce. So, and then, Jarb may be another, or I know he's very busy, there may be a couple others that are another better fit, but it's something through discussion that
I'm not talking about membership. I'm talking about, let's say the committee says, we need somebody to make 500 copies of this, or who's going to do staff support?
There probably won't be 500 copies. The main thing is to keep it as minimal as possible. Emails, electronic, right? And they can make recommendations to say, hey, maybe you need, if you guys want to go this angle, you can hire this person to do this kind of angle to develop that, right? They may have a recommendation for that that's outside of an economic developer. Somebody that's good at marketing, marketing your wellness brand or whatever you come up with, because you can't use Blue Zone, so something else. So that may come from the committee, don't know, but I don't think we'll be making, not using major budget like 500 copies, no.
I also think we need to clarify that this is an ad hoc proposal and would not be subject to the Brown Act.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's created for a limited period of time or for just one activity, I don't think it needs to comply with the Brown Act.
And that was going to be one of my points is the formality and how we could operate. Could this be done via email? That type of collaboration versus in-person meetings. What do you think about that, Diane?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to check my Brown Act information. You mean not meeting, just meeting virtually?
Virtually or via email or whatever to get
Yeah.
ideas and discussion going, and then plan me. I mean, I'm asking about the formality of the whole thing.
If we don't have any Brown Act issues, I don't think there'd be any problem with that.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't have to have a notice meeting if you have more than a quorum and those kinds of things.
Yeah, because you may not get all 9 members to participate all the time based on work and all that other stuff. Okay, so that kind of answers that for my questions. I did have one other comment, and I thought it was very unique that Councilmember Spencer Wong brought this up, and that was community input. And in our current system, and I'm not saying there isn't an avenue for that, but there's very little avenue for that. So this would allow, through the nature of our representation, the ability for community members to I don't want to say lobby, but present ideas and things that could be brought to the committee for input. And I think that expands our knowledge base here in town. Is probably not a bad thing. So I like that. I'm in favor of it. I'd just like to iron out how we want to put it together and start moving.
Okay.
I'm not, admittedly, this is not my world. I've done the limited amount of what I think I can do by talking to some different developers and people, but admittedly, there's better people out there that can do that. I was just reviewing Councilmember Popescu's campaign website, and I know he did campaign on the fact that there were some things that were wrong here in the city that he was going to fix. So I'm hoping that he would volunteer for this also. So do we need a motion?
Do I make a motion?
This isn't really a public discussion, sir, so.
Kevin. It's okay, Kevin.
Do you have a specific motion on what you'd like to?
Do I make the motion?
Yeah, if you'd
Okay.
like.
So I will make the motion to establish a revenue generating committee for the city of Loma Linda for 1 year.
I second the motion.
Now, before we go to a vote, I'm gonna get direction from the city attorney. Do we need to have more specifics? Or is this something that can be kind of molded and crafted as long as we're outside of Brown Act issues?
Well, it's before the council, so it's on the agenda, so your creation of it complies with the Brown Act. It's listed in a very broad sense so that you could discuss the number of members, goals and duties, or you could simply establish it and the committee could do that itself. You might want to establish the number of members, however. And I was going to say that what is not a legislative body, so I would suggest that this be how we describe it, is a temporary advisory committee composed solely of less than a quorum of the legislative body, so no more than 2 of you, that serves a limited or single purpose that is not perpetual and that will be dissolved once its specific task is completed. That is not subject to the Brown Act. So that's how I suggest we describe this. It's temporary, it's limited to a single purpose, it's not perpetual, and it'll be dissolved once you complete that task.
Okay, so.
Okay.
So we've set the year as
Okay.
a time limit. But in terms of the tasks, I would say that we don't want to wait for a year to bring back recommendations. So if this can be an ongoing thing, right, to bring back recommendations to the entire council or whatnot. and then establishing a number. And then I kind of like the idea of letting the committee maybe form their own kind of
Duties and goals.
procedures.
Yeah.
But I would love to see another member volunteer from this body.
I think you've got two. She said two. You've got.
It's okay. We can also use from, he doesn't want to be on it. No. Okay, it's okay. I think, don't worry.
I might add, it's a maximum of 2. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean there has to be 2.
Yeah. No, it's okay. We can use the city, we'll collaborate and we'll figure out good people.
Dusty's one of the smartest people I know, so.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
Flattery will get you nowhere.
It's okay.
One of the things that I agree with Phil on is that we should let them figure out their own talents and aptitudes and things, because I don't think we should ratify this document as their charter, because it's rather expansive and grandiose and unachievable in a year. So I think they need to come up with their scope if they're going to do this.
Yeah.
And I also think that mandated reporting intervals is they'll spend half of their time preparing the report and no time doing anything. So
just report as
as needed or as developed or something.
As reportable content develops.
Okay.
Lynette, were you keeping up with all that?
I wrote it too.
It's being recorded.
See if I have this correct. So it's the motion is to establish a revenue generating temporary committee.
Advisory.
Or temporary advisory committee, limited to just a single purpose. The committee to be limited to a single purpose.
Dissolve.
To serve a limited time and be resolved once they complete the task. And then, yes, once they complete their task at hand, and to report as reportable content developments come up to the council.
Yes.
I'm only going to put a partial description on my wording here.
So do I need to approve?
So remind me again, who chooses the members and how are they chosen?
Are you volunteering?
No, I'm just, I like to be made aware of what's happening. So at this point, all I'm
We'll
hearing
come
is
back. I'm going to discuss, I'll talk with Jarb and
It
we'll
may take the whole year just
to get
find
the members. Yeah, we'll come back with members.
So I don't think we need to ratify, but I would say maybe a progress report where we come back with the chosen members.
Yeah.
Maybe by next council meeting.
Yeah, because the next council member is October 22nd.
Again, out of the 5 of us, you're
No.
No, listen, I'm trying to pitch for him again because you're the business owner.
No.
I just want to clarify too that the document in the agenda is not prepared by staff. That was prepared by
Right, and I don't think
council member.
It's okay.
We're not adopting that
Right.
document. I think we're doing
Yeah,
something
yeah,
totally
it's just
different.
was
Right.
just
That was some framework. Okay.
Okay.
So I will take your vote.
Just before we vote, last comment is we went through a lot of pain and agony here a month or 2 ago over how to deal with our city budgetary issues. And I want to give Councilman Spencer Wang credit for trying to come up with an alternative, because what was originally proposed, and we spent a whole bunch of money to have it surveyed and everything, and it got voted down. So I appreciate that you've come up with an alternative that you're proposing, and I hope that this is approved and embraced.
Thank you.
Because we don't have any other alternative that I'm aware of, except to just keep spending down our reserves.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take your vote, please. Mayor Pro Tem Daley?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, here we go. Got it.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I also want to commend you too for taking the lead on some of these things and trying to get us going. So appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, 5B, this will be interesting also. This discussion of the Redlands Unified School District letter that they sent all of us and their intent to establish a community facilities district and authorize a levy of a special tax. So I was asking for like a staff report, but let me summarize what I think that means. Again, being a member of LAFCO myself and understanding is they're looking for a way to levy tax dollars off of the affected residents in their district, which I think is interesting. I kind of wonder if it has to do with the expense of a lot of their payouts that they've had to make in the last several years as they have lost. You're cringing at me, so maybe I shouldn't be saying it, but there has been quite a loss of money in terms of a lot of things that have happened in that district. So I'm curious what it is that they're trying to accomplish. I did reach out to the mayor of Highland and the mayor of Redlands, who expressed some concern to me also. And my thought was, as a city, at whatever we decide, if we're going to provide input, my belief, again, is this would probably end up in front of LAFCO at some point anyway. I'm just kind of curious as a city, if there's anything we want to do. Do we want to leave it alone? Do we want to support it? Do we want to oppose it? And it sounded like some of the other cities were, at least maybe one city would be interested in knowing what we're doing to support one or the other. So that's why I asked for this to be brought forward.
I just might share a couple comments. I don't know exactly, but this is what I think it might be. You will notice that the developers are the ones who are requesting this of the school district. So my guess, and that's what it is developers, when they build homes, they have to pay statutory school fees. If you've ever done an addition on your home or anything, those are not insubstantial amounts. And I imagine if you're building a lot of homes, you do the math, those are substantial fees. So the developers have requested this, and they're the landowners. And in the report or resolution, it says 100% of the landowners have requested this. It takes 2/3, according to what I can see. So they can create or they can petition, and then the school district can move forward with it. And so they create this district, and then it creates the Melrose, and then people who later buy the homes are the ones who are paying for the additional schools that result from the additional population. I mean, cities create these for new developments to fund the increase in services that are required of the fire, police. So cities do it. School districts, it appears from what I could see, are authorized to do the same, and they've got the right to do it. They're just required to give us notice. I think you can express your opinions on it. There's no reason why you can't, if you don't feel that it's fair to future residents of Loma Linda, that you couldn't make your feelings known.
And that's my point.
I don't, as long as they're following the procedures, I don't think there's a lot the city could do.
Well, I think we could
prevent it.
We could decide if we want to
Yes.
leave it alone, or we could decide we want to protest.
You can. So, but that's what I think it's being created for.
If
It's by the developers.
If it's a Melrose, does that only apply to new properties?
It would, yes, I believe it's either increasing what's there. Oh, yes, and new buyers, if the homes are developed, buyers, there'll be recorded covenants, and buyers will be made aware of these.
So it doesn't
Belarus.
apply, it doesn't apply to existing properties? It's not a general levy.
Well, when you look at
It's a
the letter,
Belarus.
Well, it's my guess that there's no developments on the land. Now, I'm not familiar with the territories.
well, the way the letter read is it covers the entire incorporated area of Loma Linda.
Which is, well, but it may be only for new properties. We need to know which it is, because there's a
I'm
big
not clear on
difference
that.
between a general levy and a special for new properties, because Belarus only applies to people within a certain district.
Correct.
It's not going to be the whole place. You can't stick a Belarus on someone who's been here for 100 years.
Right, right. Well, not unless there's a vote of all those homeowners.
Yeah.
And they decide to move forward.
So do we know what it is, really?
Based on the letter that they sent it to you, to all of you, to September 16, on page 1, 2, the third page, it said that they received a written petition for 4 projects, and it said A, B, C, D, and so I'm not sure is that for the 4 new development project in the city of Redlands. But what
Well,
it said.
developers always want a Belarus, because then they don't have to pay the fees.
Correct.
It's stuck on whoever buys their house, and they don't have, they declare in this fine print that you have to pay this, but the unsuspecting home buyer doesn't, they think, well, the house is $500,000. They don't realize there's another $100,000 of Belarus obligations attached to it that's going to be on their tax bill. So, but that's a completely different thing from everybody in the entire district gets a tax increase. I don't know which it is.
I don't know.
I don't either, but my question is much more simplistic. What are our options, and what are the consequences of those options?
Let me give you an example of what happened in the past, okay? The city, I've been working here for 23 years, and the city council never approved Melrose District for the project. And the reason for that is the home builder should be responsible for paying for the cost. And that cost will be transferred to the new home buyer by the price of the house. What they try to do with this is they kind of hide it, in lieu of paying the school fee up front. They will wait for the homeowner to pay for it as part of their tax in 30 years, for 30 years. And so.
But can these developers, what does this apply to? Because what I read was not that complex. I just read that letter, and maybe I didn't see that other stuff that was talking about projects. I read the first part of the letter, which talked about creating a special taxing district.
The May 26th letter?
Yeah.
But in the resolution itself is identified the project that was.
So why would it come to
petition.
Loma Linda?
Well, because on the letter that dated May 26, 2021, it listed the High Point, the Grove, the Canyon Ranch development, the Lennar Home, and Beaumont/Redlands LLC. So some of these projects are within the city of Loma Linda.
So can a school district levy a Belarus without approval from a city council? That's why I'm saying, but should we have some input on that, since we don't?
Do we have, what are we doing here? Do we have options?
I could look at it some more, but I believe that they have the statutory right to do that because they've got the consent. But let me back up. What does confuse me, did we just receive this letter? I mean, it's dated
May 26.
of 21.
No, the letter that we
right.
got that's not the letter that initiated this. We'll have to try to find my.
Right. The letter that initiated this email, was dated September 11. So.
Okay, hold on.
But again, regardless of how many letters we're looking at, what are we doing here? Do we have any options? if we have no legal options, then it's an exercise of futility. And I don't, do we have to decide tonight?
Well, that's,
No,
that wasn't what I,
there's nothing to decide. This is a notice. My question is, have they already decided this? And if not, can we talk to our representatives and say, vote against this? Because that's just, it doesn't jive with what we do in this area. We don't do Melrose taxes. We just
The
don't
school
do them.
district, the board already approved it.
This is a notice of intent.
It's
The
a notice of
resolution
intent.
states that the actual hearing, I believe, is October 22nd.
So they haven't
It's
approved it yet.
proposed. No, this is a resolution of intention. The cover letter, the letter we received is dated September 13 of 24. So I was looking at the,
What we're looking at is a letter from May 26, 2021. I'm not even seeing this other letter you're referring to.
I'm looking at the letter that came in our email from Lynette.
Yeah, which is different than what's in our
That's-
staff report.
Yes.
Is that
And that's
it
what
is?
generated my questions.
I think I heard what your comment is. What I can do is I have a call to the school district today, and I'm just waiting for his phone call back. And what we can do is, with the help of our city attorney, we can draft a letter to them, say our concern that we are not, the city of Loma Linda is not supporting the Melrose district for
yes.
the project within the school district, which is including the city of Loma Linda.
So section 10 of that resolution says the Board of Education hereby fixes Tuesday, October 22nd, 24 at 6 p.m. As the time and place when and where the board will conduct a public hearing on the establishment of the community
Right in the middle of
facilities.
our next city council meeting.
This is the school board.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
So we can't even go and complain about it.
Well, if we have direction tonight, we
Yeah,
can.
exactly. I was going to say, since we're all discussing it, I wonder if we can come up to a consensus, give direction, and then have someone present that letter at the school board meeting, assuming we're all agree on, and we're on in agreement on this.
And my question on that 2/3 requirement of the property owners, now they can request it, but the school board can say, like we did, hell no. We're not going to do a Melrose. That's dishonest. Because essentially what it is they get to charge full price for the property market rate without paying the fees. So it's essentially a double dip. And I think this is just the height of board misdeed to approve this kind of a thing. Because it's, it's total greed and dishonesty. And if they've already approved it, then off with their heads. If they haven't approved it yet, we need to have an opportunity to go after them.
Oh, I've got a number of things I can say. I mean, Councilman Rigsby and I agree and disagree at different times, but I'm on board with him on this totally. I mean, this sounds like Big Brother making demands and we have no options. I don't know what happened to democracy in here, but this doesn't feel right. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. And we may have no options, but that's why I'm saying, do we have any options? And it sounds like the only one we have is to show up on October 22 and protest.
I say we craft a letter in opposition.
Well, okay, I'm good with that, but we need to do more than have just a letter.
No, I agree. That's why I think we're all on the same page on this one. That's why I wanted it talked about, because I just, it doesn't feel right. And maybe I was wrong in my understanding, but I feel like we're all on the same page that that's not something we wanted to see in our city. And if it does apply to our developments, then we do need to speak up. So at the very least, a letter in opposition and maybe some reach out to them.
Yes, like you said.
Just a question out of curiosity, because we've gone around and around on Mission School on the corner and a new secondary school in Area D and yada, yada. How does this fit, or does it have any relationship to any of that politics?
Well, yes, the whole idea is the school fee is for the builders to pay to the school.
Yeah.
So the money can be used for building school within the school district.
But I thought they had already decided that the area that they had originally agreed to in Area D wasn't adequate and they needed more. Is that true?
Again, that was the conversation that they told me at one time. So therefore, they can use this money, go build school someplace else, as long as still within the Redland School District.
Go ahead.
Where they spend the money for the school is irrelevant to this issue, because all it is who's going to pay the school fee that goes into a pot for future expense. That's all it is. Where they spend it is a completely different issue. Where they put the school has nothing to do with this. This is developers who have a $20,000 per property fee, and they want to offload it to the unsuspecting buying public and have them pay it over 30 years. And as you know, you pay triple when you pay it over time. So that's a $60,000 whatever charge to the home buyer of a new home, so that the developer can walk away with that extra $20,000 that they got from the market rate for the house. So it's essentially the developer foisting a mortgage obligation onto, and a tax obligation in the form of a mortgage on all the new buyers to their own benefit. And it is totally dishonest, in my opinion. It's legal, and it's technically legal, but it's really shady. I don't like it at all.
And that all makes sense to me. I don't like it, but it makes sense to me. But then what happens to the property that we have designated for a school, for Redland School District in Area D, and Mission School, which we've argued about?
Do they still own that property? Yeah. It's up to them. It doesn't. This doesn't affect that at all.
Both properties.
Doesn't affect them.
They already
at
own.
all.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
My suggestion is that sooner the better we craft a letter. And then I would be willing to share that letter with the other cities to see if they support also that we have strong opposition. It sounds like unanimous.
I do. It's not going to be addressed tonight, but I wish we had a little more clarity on specifics as to which parcels are affected and how many potential homes we're talking about. I know you keep making references to
It's all of Area
projects,
D.
but I'm not seeing it in the. I'm sorry.
It's Area D. Everything.
I don't think so. No, I don't believe so. Yeah, I think this has something to do with properties
Yeah, the
on
ones
the
that are not
east
built.
end over by Ritchie Canyon.
It could,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't believe it has area did. Those already been established, approved, entitled.
Well, when is the
I'm sorry, Santa Mateo. Sorry,
Yeah,
Santa
I know
Mateo.
what you meant. When is the fee due on these though? So if they're mid-construction, can that new Lennar development then take advantage of this, or is that already a done deal?
Well, my understanding is something that's already achieved occupancy has already paid the fees.
Right, but
They're
none of
done.
those. Yeah, so
They're
the
done.
first wave is done, but now the new Lennar homes.
I think all the new ones would be subject to it.
Yeah, so I think let's get a letter fired off soon, and then we can share that with the other cities. Well, fundamentally, like Dusty said, fundamentally, this city has been opposed to any of that type of activity anywhere in the city. So I think we can be general with that. Okay, cool. We have direction.
So is this the record that we are against raising taxes?
Well, that's why I expected the two of you would be the most vocal on it, but it's it's one of those things that to me, if we were trying to do something to better our city and then some other agency sneaks something in below us and does it in our city without our ability to have any say, I think that makes it twice as worse. I'm still in favor of looking at stuff like that for our city if we have to. But the point is, when you have another entity, and then of course we get blamed for it all the way around. So that's just not upfront. I agree. So, all right. Sounds like we beat that sufficiently. Moving on to reports of council members.
So this past week, I met with Minerva, the principal at Mission Elementary, and her psychologist, Nikki. They were here earlier in the audience, and they were letting me know their concerns for homeless people. I think there may have been also, it's already, they went in and did something, but they were wondering if there could be an ordinance or something created to help prevent the homeless encampments. So that was one thing, was thinking about an ordinance for Mission Elementary of how close homeless encampments can be. I wasn't sure if that's a possibility, but that's from Mission Elementary. And then the second from Mission Elementary was the busyness of the streets and the location where the kids are walking. In fact, when you try to make a left-hand turn from Park onto California, it's real, like you're kind of taking your life in your own hands. So I don't know, but those were the two things from meeting with them.
And that's all very interesting. I agree with all of it. But we had these conversations with Mission Elementary and Redland School District about whether to retain Mission School where it's located or move it someplace else. And they didn't want to move it. So it kind of falls on deaf ears for me. Because these were active conversations. True? So they insisted. They wanted that corner in spite of the fact we saw a lot of other potential opportunities for it. So they got, they bought this problem.
And not to discuss it too much because, they're asking for help, and I think we should try to do something. But it's funny because I had a conversation with some of the folks from the Lewis homes, and we discussed the fact that they offered to build them a brand new school in exchange for that land, and they said no. And now they have a big piece of land with no school and an old school. Well, they remodeled it to their credit, with all sorts of issues. But anyway, it is what it is.
They don't even have the ball field they used to. They put up a bunch of, kind of temporary facilities there because they need them.
Just for context.
What's that?
Just for context, the state of California, when they were looking for another school, only had money in a rehab fund, not a new construction fund. That's the reason they did it. They did it because they could rehab an old school, but they could not make a new one. But Lewis Homes said they would pay the whole thing. But we couldn't convince them, and we even got the newspaper editorialists to be on our side, and they got very mad and defensive, and like you said, deaf ears.
So, in terms of the current problem, I have an idea, and I want to see what you're interested is. I reached out to both at the county level and with the sheriff's department, the homeless teams that they have, and they have several now out there. Their main one is called Hope, been around now for 10 plus years. But I reached out to them about the possibility of doing like an educational workshop with the entire council. They are open to that. It would not just be members from the sheriff's department, but it would potentially be people from the county office of homeless services and some other groups like that, to really kind of educate in terms of what the current laws are, where our liabilities, where our responsibilities are. And so that is an option, but that would have to be done for all of us, would have to be done in a workshop format. Outside of that, they're also willing to do just some one-on-one meetings with individual council members to do some educational type of stuff. And I was thinking about at least
I'd like to come
with them because I know some of the rest of us have kind of been through some of that already, but I could definitely set something up for you. But if there's interest from everybody, we could set it up in a workshop format and all do it together.
Do it. And the other issue I just add to that is I have early morning meetings in different places that require me to drive down Mountain View and get on the freeway. Panhandling is become a bigger and bigger problem. I'm not sure who to talk with about it. I mean, if I talk with Jarb, he'll be down there taking care of it. And that's
It's
not what
revenue
I'm looking for.
generating right there.
So
Huh?
some
What did I
of the
say?
things some of the things that I've heard recently, and I know as a city, we've had these issues come up before where there's a somewhat of a belief. Sometimes it's been confirmed, sometimes it's just rumor that we have obviously a lot of churches and a lot of goodwill organizations here. And so one of the things that I heard recently is that there may be another particular institution that's bringing people in for feeding. There was one church that contacted us about 6 months ago, and they wanted to set up showers at their church to bring them all in. I see that heads nodding. And so they were very quickly not discouraged, but they were enlightened with how those things usually work. And most of our advice has not been to diminish that interest in helping, but the suggestion is to take those services to the people where they're at instead of inviting them outreach. Exactly. So that continues to be kind of a theme that we have to reinforce, but the reality is if you have, I would suggest if you are up to it, you drive down Baseline or drive around by the courthouse in San Bernardino or go into Highland at any given day and look at the high amount of unhoused individuals there are. It is pretty out of control. So naturally, because we don't have walls up around the city, we are going to experience some of that. And I have to temper, I understand a lot of times when folks reach out and they do email us, they do contact us with concerns, and I have to temper some of that with my knowledge of what the situation looks like on the other side of the freeway and not be dismissive because people don't want to hear that. But the reality is we have far less issues than some of these other cities do. And when we do meet with the homeless folks, they will explain, even though there was a recent Supreme Court decision, it only attaches to kind of a specific piece. And so they're even upset with, like, I'll just lay it out for you. Some of the governor's rhetoric, which is, clean up this, clean up that, or whatever. He's not going to get sued. We're going to get sued. And so we have to be very careful how we approach some of that stuff. So they're very knowledgeable. They can lay it all out. They can answer a lot of questions. They do some phenomenal work. And, their main goal is to offer people services. They have data. You talk about Esri. They've been embedded with Esri for 15 years now. And they collect data on a lot of the stuff they do. And they, on average, have to offer a person help on average about 80 times before the person will actually accept it. Yeah. And there's some reasons behind that. But it's just very complex. So it's a balance. And then the other challenge with Mission Elementary School is if you look at our city boundaries, in that intersection, we only have the corner with Mission. That's it. Yeah. The other three corners are squarely in the city of Redlands. And there was I know there was a stabbing and some other stuff that happened across the street recently that our sheriff's deputies took, but they shouldn't have actually taken that because that actually occurred in the city of Redlands. The people living in the wash, that's in the city of Redlands. So when we talk about being good partners, I get a lot of emails from people that complain about some of that stuff. And it's our folks from our city that are going outside the city limits to try to address these things in another neighboring city. So we just have to be super careful with what we're promising people too, because we're operating a little bit outside of even our authority. Sorry, I know that was long-winded, and I apologize, but it's information that we all have to absorb. So if you guys are good with that, we can try to set up a workshop date that works for all of us. Yeah. And do that. You cool with that? Okay. All right. I'll reach back out to those folks.
Okay. I'll have. Okay. three quick things. Regarding homelessness, I have talked to some of the businesses along Redlands Boulevard, and they've all been very happy with the response time from the police. They've called, they've come in, they've cleared it. So every single time someone's loitering or acting in a very not normal manner, the police responds right away and it's been addressed. So that's very, very encouraging to hear that. I had some meetings with a number of council members from the area in a different venue. There's a crisis happening in the state of California relative to homeowners insurance. The California League of Cities is going to adopt some resolutions where they're hoping to get a number of larger entities like SCAG and other organizations throughout the state to write letters to pass. Technically, it's supposed to put more pressure on the California Insurance Commissioner to address this issue. Is not being addressed. And I'm only giving you a heads up in the sense that they're going to ask us to pass a resolution in support of what they're trying to do. So we have yet to see that, but it's going to happen soon. And the last quick item, I had a meeting about 45 minutes this morning with one of the companies that I met at the ESRI conference. They did some amazing reports about our demographics and visitors. It's just absolutely incredible. In fact, this person I hadn't met before, and he himself was just dumbfounded as to how much buying power the folks who come into Loma Linda have. Having said that, after listening to it, I said, look, this is something for the staff. Please, he's going to get Jarb's email, and hopefully when we get the economic developer on board, that's something they can follow through with. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities and things that we can take advantage of. So, yeah. No. Like I said, I'm on city council. I'm doing my part.
Okay, reports of officers. Okay, hearing none, we'll be adjourned from the city council meeting and we'll move into Lynette. Which do you want to go to?
Housing?
Okay, so we'll move into the Housing Authority. Are there any items to be added or deleted?
No,
there?
sir.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any non-agendized item, please come forward. Milford, seeing nobody, we'll go ahead and move on to our scheduled items, which is just the consent calendar.
Move it.
I have a first and a second. Madam Clerk.
Motion is to approve the consent calendar as for the Housing Authority as submitted. Please vote. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any chair or member reports or reports of officers? Seeing none, we'll adjourn that and move into the successor agency. And while she's bringing that up, Jarb, I'll ask if there are any items to be added or deleted there.
No, sir.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on a successor agency item that is not agendized, please come forward. You want to speak on a non-agendized successor agency item, sir?
Yeah, I'm not sure what a successor agency is.
So that's the board that's charged with winding down our redevelopment agency.
Yeah, that was not the item I wanted to comment about.
Okay. Okay, moving on. We have the consent calendar.
Move it.
I have a first. And a second. Ron did the second, sorry.
Motion is to approve the consent calendar items as submitted. Please vote. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to member or officer reports. Seeing none, we will adjourn, and that concludes all of our boards and meetings tonight. Thank you very much.
Next meeting is for City Council, October 22?
22nd?
October 22 is the 180th anniversary of the Great Disappointment of 1844.
You want to put an agendized item on the